This is not what you think. Bonjour everyone, Pantoufleee here today for a new video in which we're going to take a look at the new trailer Wargaming released called World of Tank Blitz coming soon. And it's basically presenting us everything that will be occurring in the game from January to February. And I'm saying February simply because it represents Chinese New Year. And as you can see just by the thumbnail, there is a dragon that is representative of the Chinese culture and that is emblematic every time we have a Chinese New Year event in the game. So let's not lose too much time and jump directly into it. Here we will focus more on the Titan tank that you saw at the beginning of that video, simply because it's not what you think. First of all, guys, we're gonna go through the trailer straight away altogether. I'm not gonna put any music or sounds that Wargaming is putting on their videos simply because they are copyrighted and I don't want to get copy striked. But basically, for the moment, there was one thing interesting that we will talk about in another video. And of course, as we already know, they are coming with the LTG, T54 Lightweight, Object 84, and T100 Light. One thing extremely important to notice that maybe other YouTubers didn't see, I'm sorry I did not take a look at their videos, but basically now we have two new empty spaces here and here. Usually when Wargaming does that, it's because they are preparing new lines. So we can expect in the future, maybe, as I just mentioned in a previous video about the T62A getting removed, maybe the Object 430U coming in the game at one point, which would be a good thing, because if it comes, it will be in addition of the already existing Russian medium tank. Let's keep going. As you can see, there is a quick presentation of the tank, the new ugliest tier 7 ever, the LTG or LTV, the T100 Light and its counterpart at tier 9, the HD graphics on the KV2, the Scorpion and the Tiger, and finally the 50 TP prototype. Now we are just gonna wait. One thing maybe to notice real quick, Wargaming is putting more efforts into HD tanks because in the previous updates we had only 3 tanks getting those updates and now we have 4. So maybe that's because they want to accelerate the rate at which they implement every single tank in HD. Now we have the traditional big boss mode. We already talked about it. Here what you saw was the catalyst power. This one is the healing power. This one is the ramming power, which should allow you to one-shot everything you ram. Finally, you have the laser gun that you saw equipped on the grill right there that should improve your number of damage. Here is the Bomba, an ability that allows you to destroy someone. Here is the regenerate growth, which allows you to have more hit points than every single other tanks. But don't worry, I'll do a whole video about the big boss mode now that we have access to it. And here is the thing we're going to talk about in this video. This that supposedly looks like a KV2, that is not a KV2, but before we jump straight into it, let's take a look at the whole replay. We still have 30 seconds to go. New game events. We have the Chinese New Year. That will be a subject to a whole video because there is quite a lot to say about it. Leaks, because you're not going to be able to get the Kruppster Waffentrager that you saw right there. So, well, we are just going to wait for it to finish off. Boom, that's it. Follow the news for more or follow YouTubers for more leaks. So there we go. Let's jump into it. So, what is this? A lot of you said, wow, oh my gosh, we're gonna get a KV2 premium, kind of like a second smasher at tier 7. This is insane. No. First of all, this is not a KV2. It's extremely close to one tank that is already existing in the game and that got removed during the 5.5 update, the T150. If I put it right in front of the Tech Tree one that we have access to, this one, you see that, well, the tanks are looking quite similar. It's a tier 6 Russian tank that got removed during the 5.5 update simply because it was not fitting the role it was given. And when we take a look at the statistics, we are going to be kind of disappointed because there is nothing truly amazing about that tank. The gun dispersion is just horrific. The DPM is not good as well. The reload time is really long, 11.7 seconds. The only thing that is really cool is the average penetration, because with your gold shell you get nearly 220. For the average damage, it's cool as well because you feature 320 and 7 degrees of gun depression. Let's say that this thing focuses more on penetration and reliability on hilly terrains rather than accuracy or DPM. For the rest of the statistics, let's say that for the top speed you have an average 1, even if you're gonna feel kind of slow compared to other super heavy tanks at tier 6, and this is for something logical. This one is extremely armored, but only at one side, here on the side where the tracks are located. At the front you can still bounce a couple of tier 5s, but when it comes to tier 6 it's kind of impossible. On top of that, the turret is kind of useless because of that huge cupola that is a big weak spot. But if you side scrape with it, you shouldn't struggle too much bouncing pretty much everything, including tier 7. But now the real question is, what will this tank feature as special perks? First of all, when we take a look at the caliber of the tank, it definitely seems like they are featuring the exact same gun. Maybe that as it's going to be a tier 6, probably in the battle pass, we are going to get better statistics, because that's usually what happens. Take a look at the Cryos, which is a better version of the Yak Panzer IV. But basically, when you take a look at the Mighty one, let's say that I'm expecting it to be just a regular T150 with just spaced armor on the side, as you can see right there, which is the Titan armor that was already featured on the previous tank, the Titan HN and the Titan Mark 1, if I'm not mistaken on the name, the tier 5. And well, if that's it, just expect the exact same tank with maybe a smaller mobility due to the increase of its weight due to the spaced armor, but maybe a better gun and a better armor. So it's a good trade, but it's still gonna make the tank boring. So the same way as they made the Titan HN boring, which should definitely tell you that this thing you're seeing right there is not something to be hyped about. But if you still want to acquire the Titan T150, let's take a look at the regular T150 and let me tell you what will be the main changes. Here, when you take a look at the tank, you see that it doesn't have the spaced armor on the turret cheeks, which is what makes it frustrating to play, because with this tank, if people are using gold shell, they can penetrate that area quite easily. Of course, with the Titan T150, it's not going to be the case, because if Wargaming really implements a huge armor on it, well, it means that we shouldn't struggle too much getting that tank working. Now, the second thing I need to talk about is that unlike the Titan HN that has 50% of its hit points without the ability of using the spaced armor, and when you pass those 50% of hit points destroyed, you get the ability that works by itself. You know, the thing that converts your spaced armor into useful spaced armor. It's not going to be the case on that tank, because if it was, Wargaming would have showcased the tank in their video with the mechanism working on it, which means that it's going to be the same principle as the Titan MK1, just a regular spaced armor. Now, of course, it's going to come to a cost. You are going to lose some mobility, and here this tank truly did not have to lose mobility, because you see by this replay that it's already a slow tank. Just take a look at how we struggle getting up a hill. So just imagine this multiplied by maybe 0.5 or 1.5, I should say it like that. It's going to be a really frustrating tank to play. If you're into playing mouse, KV4, those kind of tanks, it shouldn't be a problem. But well, if you are not, like it's my case, you're just gonna find it frustrating. Of course, it's also possible that Wargaming blow my mind up and just decides to make it broken by, I don't know, adding mobility, a better gun, plus a better armor. For sure, we know that the armor is going to be better, and the gun probably as well, because that tank was mostly removed from the tech tree because of its gun, not because it was overpowered or anything like that. It's not the case of the tank at all. And I would tell you even more, in the current meta, that tank feels given up on. I mean, it's not a tank that will do well in the current meta, which is logical because it's a collectible and Wargaming stopped working on it a long time ago. But at least it's cool to see that Wargaming, by giving us new collectibles and premium, is still kind of caring about those tanks that they removed, simply because they are giving us the possibility of having a taste of what the T150 used to be. Because the, let's not dream, the new and upcoming T150 Titan tank will be a better version of this one, which is gonna feel like what the T150 used to be during the 4.0 update and all those updates where this tank was truly one of the biggest heavies. To be honest with you, my feeling about the tank is that when you play at tier 6, you have the impression of playing an IS-4, a tier 6 IS-4. And just take a look at that. When I told you that the only part of the tank that is really strong is the tracks, just take a look at my angle right now. If you angle like that with a KV-1S or something like that, you would get penetrated, but not with the T150. It's the same principle as a KV-5, an IS-4, all those tanks that are really good at side scraping. And to be fair, seeing that Wargaming is giving it some love by giving us the possibility of having a new collectible that looks like it, really shows that maybe they want to play on something else than the hold down meta. Maybe that right now they want us to play more with side scraping, etc, etc. Because if I'm not mistaken, and when we take a look at the trailer, this tank, the Titan T150, is keeping its cupola. And if it's keeping its cupola, it means that you will still have a weak spot on the upper part of the hull, which makes it not the best tank to play in all down, of course. So in the end, we don't know yet what the statistics are going to be about. I'll do a video when we know, but for the moment, what I can assure you is that you're gonna get more armor, better gun, and the poorest probably mobility ever at tier 6. Is it worth it? It will be your choice. Just wait for a review or something like that when the tank will be released in order to know. But if I'm not mistaken, this should be the February Battle Pass tank. And no, it's not going to be a tier 7. It's supposed to be a tier 6. Maybe Wargaming will upgrade it at tier 7. If it's the case, it's going to have a better mobility, better gun, and better armor, obviously. But I don't think they'll do that. If they remove the T150 in the first place, it was for a good reason, not to implement a better version of it once again right after at one tier higher. So well, this is what we know for the moment, and I hope that you enjoyed. If that's the case, feel free to subscribe, like, and share, and personally, I'm gonna see you soon for a new video. Bye.